Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today, as part of Matchbox March, not sure why Airfix has crept into that, but they're sort of getting in on the act, having a bit of a 70s vibe. Because I think this came out around about 72, 73, if my memory serves, or was it earlier than that even? In fact, it'll tell us, but it's the wonderful Bristol Bloodhound, later the BAC Bloodhound. And it's one of their vintage classic kits. Now it has been out for a while. It says 71. You see I'm there or thereabouts, aren't I? Yeah, the original drawing is 71, so it's kind of ties in with Matchbox. Within 12 months of Matchbox's creation, we're going to have this as part of Matchbox March because I'm not interested in doing Airfix April. Okay. Anyway, there is a reason. I'm not the first to review this, far from it, even in this form, but I have probably got the greatest, or one of the greatest justifications for looking at this one of all. My father, who I'm sure people think I make this stuff up, my father did a lot of projects to do with aerospace, and he worked at Vickers Shipyard on the HMS Invincible. Of course, he went to join BAC in 1965, intending to work on the TSR-2, only to find the government cancelled the project a couple of weeks before it started. Very annoying indeed, and very unforgivable. Anyway, at least he kept his job. And a lot of people were made redundant, so you know it was bad time. Anyway, one of the projects that the Bristol Aircraft Company were then subsumed around that time into British Aircraft Corporation, and there was this slimming down of the aircraft industry in the UK. And this is one of the projects he briefly worked on. He worked on something to do with the guidance vanes. It was all, you know, official secrets act, so he never actually told me what it was. He was a draftsman on the mechanical side, so it wouldn't be electronics as such. It would be something to do with the guidance vanes at the back, from what he told me. And he subsequently actually worked at Ferranti, who did the electronics that control this missile as well, anti-aircraft missile. So my dad actually ended up working on this twice, actually, for different companies and different reasons. Interesting stuff. Anyway, enough of my family history. I'll talk about the kit. So these were basically an anti-aircraft missile intended to bring down high-level Russian bombers during the Cold War. And that was the plan. Tooled in 71 with artwork from the great Roy Cross in 71. So we'll have a little closer look, I think. Instead of looking at my mug, let's have a look at these lovely pictures. Very nice, isn't it? It is a nice bit of artwork, that. And it actually says on the side, Airfix have tried to make this as small as possible. Jeez. Forming a vital component of Britain's post-war integrated air defence protection during the Cold War era, the Bristol Bloodhound surface-to-air radar-guided missile was intended to protect the integrity of Britain's V-bomber nuclear deterrent force from hostile attack. It went into service from 1958 until 1991. Isn't that amazing? So let's have a look. I've not opened this at all. This was actually a gift from one of my subscribers, David Mummery, would you believe? So thank you very much, David. Much appreciated, especially given my history, or my dad's history, I should say. I can't take any credit for Britain's air defence, if I'm honest. But he could. And he could also take credit. He was very pleased when the Falklands War was a positive outcome because of his work on the Invincible. So, now bear in mind this is a this is a tooling from 71. Let's not expect too much from this. It's going to be all about nostalgia rather than content, I think. So it's going to really take me back to a bygone era. Oh yeah, here we go. Well, first of all, they've got the new darker plastic, which wasn't the case at the time. Excuse me. I'm just going to have a quick sip of some orange juice. Oh yes, that's nice. Ooh, it's quite sharp. Oh. That is very sharp orange juice indeed. Oh. Get my vitamin C there. Anyway, let's have a look. So we've got this new Airfix plastic that they're using coming from India. The moulds, predictably, I'm not going to be too critical because it's an old thing, you know. And they're being honest about it. They're telling us it's old. The moulds are not going to be too brilliant. We will have to just take a view on this and imagine it's 1971 again. Well, let's have a look. Let's start with the figures, yeah? So we've got our figures, including our, I think it's an Alsatian, RAF guard dog. Look at that, look at that. It's got a spike on its head like a unicorn. Oh boy, it's a unicorn dog. It's a little bit of flash, I think. I think it's from where his ears should be. But that's a little bit odd. It makes him look most peculiar, doesn't it? Anyway, I say it is a very old tooling, this. Those of you that think that Airfix was brilliant in the old days, and I've often made this comments about why I was so keen on Matchbox, of course. And I'm not knocking Airfix. I'm just making an observation. But this thing about flash, I mean, actually on the other side, the dog looks quite good, in fairness, apart from the unicorn bit. But there was a lot more flash on Airfix kits in this era, the tooling, you know. And this is why you can see it there, can't you, on some of those figures. And this is why I was so much more of a fan of Matchbox, because they didn't suffer that much cleaner. Anyway, it was obviously a tolerancing issue. But let's have a look at our parts here. We'll have a look at the instructions in a second, because I don't think there's a lot to them. They've done the sort of the ruffle sort of canvas cover or tarpaulin type cover on the Land Rover. They've done that quite well. But again, there's you know, it's Flash City, obviously. A great deal of flash around, as was their way at the time, you know. But it's okay, you know, it's acceptable. Just a very simple, old school kit, really. Then we've got over here, we've got the Bloodhound's sort of carriage, if you like, that carries it to and from its launch site. It doesn't actually come with the base, which is shown in the picture, which is a bit of a shame, or does it? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Comes with both. So you've got the transporter, and over here we've actually got this is the base that it sits on, but you haven't got the big round base. See what I'm talking about? The big round base here, that's not included. You've just got the immediate part that sits on, the Bloodhound system sits on. Well, you're going to be doing a fair bit of clean-up on this. Obviously there's quite a lot of flash. Here's these fins I was talking about, that I think my father was involved with. Over here we've got a couple more figures. As you can see, getting a bit flashy. And you can see it there, can't you? Look at the halo of flash. So, you know, I'm not bashing Airfix today, I'm really talking about them back in '71. This is why I've always been not a big fan of Airfix in that era, because a lot of their output was like this. There was a lot of flash. The missile itself is quite nice, that's fairly clean in fairness, considering how complicated it is. That bit seems to be relatively flash free. There's just the odd hint of it here and there, but not very much. That's not so bad. And I think that is pretty much it, apart from these final parts of the carriage. So yeah, it's of its time, you know. Let's have a look at the instructions. We didn't expect anything different to that, to be honest, because I remember it the first time. Now we're going to see a reproduction of the original instructions. Watch this. And it's got a lot of things that you don't glue. But they're nice and clear though, aren't they? Nice and clear. The assembly of the Land Rover is quite straightforward. And then you've got this carriage, this elevating mount, which I think they could have put on a bigger base, would have been nice, but anyway. And then you've got the carriage itself, which is, yeah, it's relatively complicated actually. But when you finish, you've got quite an interesting little set, haven't you? You've got Land Rover, you've got the carriage, you've got the mount for the rocket, and you've got your unicorn dog. I think you better cut his unicorn spike off. That would be a good idea. But there we go. But it's very cute, and of course these are very, very affordable kits even today. Was it retailing for about £16? Was it £18? Something like that. Not a lot of money, you know. Doesn't tell us a huge amount about it, but there we are. But no, it's a nice little kit. Decent value for money, I'd say. Not special, but The only irritating part is the amount of cleanup on the flash you're going to have. I think the assembly, apart from that's pretty straightforward. Not going to be too difficult. Anyway, we're looking at that as part of Matchbox March, even though it's Airfix, because for one thing, it will put into context, I think, when you look at the Matchbox kit, the moulding in particular. Yes, they were quite softly moulded, and panel line details weren't great, and a lot of raised panel lines, things like that. But some of them were not, some of them were recessed. But I think when we get looking at these others, there's several of them, I think that's interesting for you to actually see. I'm not being ungrateful to David. I shall get that built someday, I promise you, and get it in my cabinet. But interesting to do a comparison between a sort of 71, 72 Matchbox Airfix versus a Matchbox of the same era, which is why I included it, because it seemed very pertinent. Anyway, hope you found that interesting. I'm sure lots of you have got Bloodhounds as well. It was a very important surface-to-air missile, obviously anti-aircraft missile. Protected all the RAF airfields in places like Germany and the UK. Yeah, very, very vital piece of our defence in the 1960s, 50s and 60s. Right through to 91, as it said. Anyway, marks out of 10. Well, I have to qualify it for its age. And imagine it's 1971. So 1971, I'd probably give that 7 out of 10. Because if you take away the flash, it's pretty decent, really. Nice figures. Animates it all. Very nice. Yeah, I think 7 out of 10 is kind of fair. And there we go. So I hope you'll give me 10 out of 10. And a thumbs up. Obviously, give us a like. And stay tuned, because Matchbox March is here, and we have got, not a lot, but we have got a small handful of interesting kits to look at. Loaned by our friend David, actually generously donated that one for me as a gift. But we will be having a look at some of these, and yeah, the toolings may be actually later than 71, but you get the idea. Excuse me. Still can't shift the cough, but anyway. I hope you'll be in better health than me. I'm on the mend, I promise you. Anyway, till next time, stay tuned, stay well, stay safe. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.